Drew, I think a lot of people, there was always this thing of you don't want to be the guy that follows the guy. We know how that worked out after Bear Bryant. You can't blame anybody for thinking it with Nick Saban leaving, because Nick Saban has done things. You hate to use the word never, but I don't know that anybody's ever going to do what Nick Saban did at Alabama again for as long as there's an earth.
Oh,
what is realistic going forward for Alabama? How patient will that fan base be when it doesn't hit Nick Saban levels, which I'm guessing it won't, which it could still be outstanding and not get there?
Well, first of all, I mean, when Nick Saban came in 2007, I was hoping he'd stay 5 years and win it once, because I thought he might go back to the NFL, because I thought he'd had a lot of extensive NFL experience. He didn't get the quarterback he wanted, and if he had got Drew Brees, he may have stayed. But his wife also hated it. And so that's the one other thing that I've learned in this business is it's a team thing. Your wife has to want to move. I've already mentioned that Sarks did not. Well, Terry Saban hated Miami. She did not like being there. She did not like the NFL. So she wanted to go back to the college level. Kalen DeBoer, I don't know enough about his family to know what his long-term goals are. But I can tell you from what he said behind the scenes and publicly that he knows Alabama is the standard, and it gives him a chance to win at the highest level. Now, I will say this. I think realistic expectations for Alabama, especially now that, some of these the have-nots have got with their wish, and what I mean by that is an expanded playoff, is that Alabama should be in the playoff every year. I mean, 12 teams, give me a break. With Alabama's, pedigree and resources, Kalen should be in the playoff every year. Now, does that mean he's going to win it? No, because I don't think championships are easy to win. Nick Saban made it look a lot easier than it actually is. Never in my wildest dreams did I think he'd win 6. And if you go back and break it down, he could have won 10. I mean, 10? Are you kidding? So, I mean, I don't expect that of Kalen DeBoer, but I think he can recruit at a high level. I think he can keep Alabama in the mix every year. And this is going to be, high praise, but here's my thought process, because he only won it twice, but they were in the mix for 14 years, is Bobby Bowden.
Yeah.
That's what Alabama fans realistically should expect. You're not going to win it every year, but you're going to be in the mix, and you're going to be in the mix for some of the best players in the country. I mean, remember, Coach Bowden was criticized a lot because he took him till 93 to win it. Then he won it again in 99. There was a lot of people wondering if he would ever do it. But Coach Bowden did get it done twice. And so I think Kalen DeBoer can get it done. No question about it. And some people say, well, he wanted it in the NAI. If that's the NAI, it's still a championship, which means he knows how to get stuff done in a playoff type atmosphere.
Yes.
He's 104-12. It's kind of like Nate Oates when I started digging into Nate Oates, because I didn't know much about Nate Oates, because as I've called Greg Byrne, I called him again after the press conference with Kalen DeBoer. Great job, Ninja. I call him the Ninja because he always has you off balance as to exactly who the number one guy is. I thought it was Thad Matta. Hell no. He had leaked that out. And when he was in Buffalo, Nate Oates, and I knew who Nate Oates was. I knew about Buffalo and the success he had, but I had no idea about his background until I started digging. And when I started digging and I found out he was a Tom Izzo guy and he was basically a gym rat, I was like, Alabama finally got it right. This is not this is substance over style, which is what wins. You got to have substance to what you're doing. And people were doubting Nate Oates. They were like, that was some of my reactions and back and forth on social media. They're like, well, DeBoer can't recruit in the South. I was like, well, did Nate Oates have any recruiting ties to the South?
No.
And he's recruiting him.
I've made these same arguments with people, Drew. I'm on your side with this. I think we see it the same. In fact, I wanted to do that. Our social media guy vetoed this. I said, hey, let's tweet out that Kalen DeBoer has a higher winning percentage as a head coach than Nick Saban, which is true.
Right.
And Blake Lovell, Blake. Blake said no. I said I think that's a terrible idea people will see that as disrespectful. But I still don't know to this day, like, how many people know that.
Right.
And look, of course, I'm not saying he's a better coach than Nick Saban. Of course he's not. Nick Saban is going to be the best in our lifetimes when we're 6 feet under. But what I am saying is, look at how little Nick Saban lost. And granted, different level. I don't care if you're coaching Pee Wee football, you have that winning percentage. That's something that gets my attention.
Well, I mean, 25-3, and the Pac-12 this year was one of the 2 best leagues, I thought, in the country.
Yeah.
And so they went out on top, kind of. They had a really good league, and, and even with all their resources at USC and all their limelight, they were better than SC, and they were much better. And so I just think I think Kalen DeBoer knew that. He knew, look, I love Washington, and I love what I've done here, but this is Alabama, and I get every strategic advantage that I need. And that and Nick Saban already had the chops and a championship, but and DeBoer doesn't have that yet, but he will be given everything he needs. They will not be. I think that's different. I think the biggest differences in the University of Alabama, back 20 years ago and now, is there's a strong president in place, and Mal Moore had to rebuild the facilities. And get things back heading in the right direction for Alabama athletics. The facilities, with what Nick Saban's done with the nutrition center, with the weight room, with the weight program, the sports science center, they already have everything they need. And if they need something else, they will get it. And so I think that's the difference. Nick Saban, what he needs to be given credit for, not just for winning championships, is he transformed the University of Alabama. He transformed the entire athletic department.
Yes.
And he made everybody
admissions, Drew. I mean, admissions applications have gone through the roof. The composition of student bodies changed. It's crazy.
It's nearly 50,000 people. It's almost triple. And Nick Saban's also told everyone, look, of course, football is my sport, and I want it to be the focus, and I want to win at the highest level, but everything needs to win at the highest level.
Yeah.
So that's why they finally built a new baseball stadium. I'm hoping Rob Vaughn is finally the right hire, the best hire since now. Thank goodness, Hall of Famer Jim Wells. Congrats to Coach Wells for finally being elected to the Collegiate Baseball Hall of Fame. I'm very proud of him for that, because I followed his career. And then look, man, and now Nate Oates and what he's doing with the basketball program. I know it's kind of because of COVID and because of NIL and things. The transfer portal, it's had to be, it was on a fast track. It's been slowed down, but I still say that's why a basketball arena is eventually going to be built at the University of Alabama, because of the revenue being generated, and because of the SEC network, and just because Coleman's 50 years old, and if you want to keep Nate Oates, eventually it has to happen. But all of that was made possible by Nick Saban and what he was able to do, and making the Alabama brand such a national one. Because as I'm kind of wrapping up our interview here, here's what I've said, and I'm going to say it on your show. When Nick Saban took the job at Alabama, Alabama was among the greatest college football programs of all time. People still talked about Notre Dame. People still talked about USC. People still talked about Oklahoma, even Nebraska back in the day. But here's what Nick Saban did. He took a sledgehammer to Notre Dame and all of that. There is no program historically now from the 1920s through today that matches up with Alabama. None. You can call the Gipper, you can call Newt Rockne, you can call it's nearly been 40 years, 40 by 2028 if Notre Dame hasn't won a national championship, and Alabama has distanced themselves from the Irish. That was the one thorn in the side of Coach Bryant. He never beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame is kind of the thorn in his side. Well, Nick Saban took a sledgehammer to that, and I think every Alabama fan is happy with that, and really owes Nick Saban that how much growth we've seen from the university as a school and as an athletic department, and then making the University of Alabama the greatest college football program of all time, and it's really not close.
Drew, really appreciate you joining me today. I know you're up against a radio hit. I think my camera is about to die on me here. So before it runs out of time on both of us, tell folks where they can find you on air, all those things, online, your shows, all that good stuff.
Yeah, they can find me at DrewD977ESPN on my Twitter account. X, I guess I'm having to reprogram myself to say X. And
it's still Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. So, and then they follow my station at 977 ESPN here in the Rocket City of Huntsville. And all of our content is on 977ESPN.com and also on our SoundCloud page. So we're on from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, and we've featured you many times, and Blake, and we really enjoy both of y'all and what y'all do, and we appreciate being on Southeastern 14, soon to be 16, I guess. But you guys do a great job covering the entirety of SEC athletics, which I don't think is done enough. Of course, I love football, but everybody knows I'm a basketball guy.
Basketball. Mm-hmm.
I love hoops, and so, like I said, and I love what you guys do with college baseball. I think it's the most underrated sport in the country.
Yes.
But again, they can follow me and listen to us each Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. And we always enjoy the opportunities you give us to be on Southeastern 14 with you and Blake.
Well, it's always fun. We probably don't do it enough. And look, I've done, I don't know how many dozens of radio shows across the country, different stations. The biggest compliment you can pay somebody is like, how prepared are they for what they're doing? You guys are as prepared with your questions, your observations, is about any show I've ever done. If you're in that state and not listening to Drew, what are you doing here? And look forward to being on your show to talk basketball again. For people to see this after it's passed, but we will have many conversations ahead, either me being on your show or the other way around.
Well, really looking forward to it, man. Appreciate the opportunity. Good.
All right. He's Drew DeArmond. I'm Chris Lee of Southeastern 14, presented by Bet Online.